Over the last 5 months, I've been touring across Europe through a connection of dirt roads, which you may or may not know as a Trans-Euro Trail. And while it's honestly been an amazing time getting to see the world through the rural countryside, seeing small villages and a lot of dirt roads, at a certain point it started to feel a little bit boring. As my skills grew out of being a complete beginner, following a set path started to feel like I was missing something. I mean, we call this adventure riding, but when you have a GPS that tells you exactly where you are and where to go at all times, how adventurous could it really be? So with that on my mind, as I made my way across Turkey and out of the crowded and heavily regulated western world of Europe, it felt like it was about time to start exploring off-trail, starting with finding shortcuts. Hard to explain, but coming from New York City, being able to explore freely like this across hilltops is something that I've dreamt about for a while. The terrain here wasn't too difficult, but it was really loose and steep, so I had to be pretty cautious as the bike did want to start sliding down.
Oh no, my gas. Oh, that's not good. Oh, my wrist.
With the setup of the gas tank, anytime I lay over the bike, the gas inevitably starts to leak, which means I always try to pick up the bike as soon as possible. But in this case, it was going to be a lot harder considering the angle it fell on and the very loose dirt. I'm not exactly sure how, but at some point the handlebar lever got stuck between the tears in my pants, and being on an incline, this was a lot harder than I first thought to get free. After some time, I started thinking of what it must look like if someone were to pass by right at that moment.
Almost. Fuck.
But with the gas continuing to leak, I got focused again on my task and eventually got free. And it only took a little bit more of wrangling around the bike to get it free and finally down the hill.
That was exhausting.
That hill was a lot steeper than I thought it would be. But anyways, we're heading to Georgia through the Tats, and then we're going to go into Azerbaijan, and then head into Kazakhstan for the next leg of this world trip, I think now. I'm going to catch my breath, and then I'm going to hop on the bike. Hopefully it'll start first kick after I drain the carb.
I think this does a little loop around, so maybe we can find another shortcut.
At first, this section looked like it was going to be a trail, but the more I searched around, the more I questioned what kind of trail it was, or if it even was a trail.
Okay, I'm not sure about this.
Anyways, I knew the road wouldn't be too far off, so I kept making my way down. And eventually, I found an opening, which was great because I was starting to get really tired, and after not many more miles, it was time to look for an accommodation. Unfortunately, it looked like the hotel was closed, so I figured I'd make the run for the next village and prayed that I would make it there before dark since the bike still doesn't have any proper lighting. For a while, I was making good progress, but once the sun started to come down, it ended up taking a lot longer than I thought because the sunset ended up becoming a huge distraction.
Look at those sun rays. Beautiful. This is honestly such a beautiful time to ride. It's kind of cold, like a little chilly, fall chilly. Colors are kind of changing in the mountains. It's beautiful.
Close your eyes, hear the voice within, calling this heavy load got under your skin. Howling, you got the white knuckles holding on it tight.
I spending a long time in hot weather, it was amazing to feel the autumn breeze as I rode along some flowy, hard-packed dirt. Oftentimes, well, especially for the past 2 weeks, it felt like traveling has been running around figuring out the most optimal plan to get from point A to point B. But honestly, sometimes there's a few special moments on the trip where it feels like logic starts to get thrown out the window, and it would feel like the biggest waste of time if you don't just push everything else in your mind away to enjoy what's in front of you.
Whoa. Can't see the rocks that well. Wow, it's so mystical. Okay, I'm gonna be careful at this little ledge over here. It's so awesome.
The mixture of fog and the bright sunset light kept feeling like I was in another world. I think a lot of it has to do with just how different this moment felt from what I'm usually accustomed to.
Who's that?
It's always fun to think about how for shepherds, this is just another evening of work.
Probably get to our accommodation since the sun is setting.
After making it through some more valleys and small villages, I raced a bit more and eventually made it just in time. And then the next day, after some rest and a trip to the gas station, I was ready for more exploring.
Okay, so the normal TED kind of loops around like that. So we just gotta get over there. Where am I? Sure, there's somewhere over there. This is like a stream. Seems more promising.
I have to say this way of traveling can oftentimes be slow and difficult, but sometimes when the terrain is just the right amount of challenging, it's honestly a perfect place to practice my riding skills, which for me is a huge part of why I wanted to do this trip in the first place.
Oh my gosh, I'm not climbing that wall. This is so sketchy on this tall XR. Ah, fuck. Turned off. Perfect. Oh. next section looks a bit tough. And we're back.
What I didn't anticipate early on was that going further into the mountain meant I was going to pass through a lot of fog and rain, and at 2,600 meters with no winter gear, it got pretty cold. However, the lack of visibility made it feel much more of an adventure. Since I couldn't see as well, it felt like I had to be much more in the moment to compensate for everything that I couldn't see.
Okay. Where am I?
And despite the weather, I couldn't help but continuing to explore, and man, I was pretty happy I did.
Oh yeah, it's super slippery.
At some moments, I made it above the clouds and enjoyed riding through what seemed like a hidden world above everything that I knew. But only for a moment, since eventually it was time to head back down.
Such a little small window of visibility and beauty before stepping into the fog again. Look at that. And back we go. I don't know if it's visible. I have once again cracked the subframe.
So, it appears it broke, the rear subframe broke there, and this weld cracked. So what I'm scared of is that goes up to the side and then goes down and then collapses under the weight like that. This, I just tied it down. I'm hoping that tying it down will kind of create tension like this, so that it doesn't want to, you know, move too much. But yeah. Ugh.
Cracked subframe aside, the bike seemed to be well overdue for some maintenance, so I made a run to the nearest city to get it taken care of before heading off to the Georgia border. To give an update, we're in Hopa, Turkey, which is not too far from the border going to Georgia. It's been raining and storming for a while, but the only mechanic in town is not here. So I think I'm gonna have to do some repairs on my own and maybe buy the couple tools I don't have, but all that I'll show in the next video. Like, subscribe. I'll try to come out with the Georgia video and even more as I go across the sea into Kazakhstan and down to Thailand.